Get the Friendo Club set up today and get access to over 700 Going In Raw bonus episodes, our monthly Big Blue predictions challenges, and the ability to ask questions at Going In Raw. We also offer the Steven Larson comic book and exclusive Friendo Club t-shirt. Just hit join here at youtube.com/Steven Larson or go to patreon.com/Steven Larson to sign up. Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to the Steve and Larson Pro Wrestling Podcast, ruining pro wrestling podcasts since 2014. We've got a jam-packed episode. Not only are we talking about AEW Dynamite, what'd they call it? Grand Slam Mexico? That's what it was.
Yeah.
We've also got NXT, and we've got a ton of news, including what y'all want us to talk about. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Larson, what's up first?
Let's start with this. This is a rumor going around I hadn't heard of because I'm not on social media anymore for the most part. But apparently there's rumors going around that TKO, of course, is the parent company of both WWE and UFC, were trying to sell WWE.
Ooh.
Had you heard this rumor?
So, the idea that I think, Jonathan Coachman had said that maybe Vince was interested in buying it and TKO might want to sell. There was a Yahoo Finance report that said that it was one line. It said speculation is TKO might be looking to offload WWE, but there was nothing behind it. And people kind of pointed, or maybe it was something Coachman said. I don't know. But who's listening to that guy,
Yeah. Anyway, so Dave Meltz report, just all sorts of cold water on those rumors. During a recent Wrestling Observer Radio saying the following, these transcripts come to you from WrestlingNews.co, quote, the stories of him, Vince McMahon, somehow buying WWE. And I even saw a line in the story about how TKO was looking to sell WWE, and it's aside from that being denied all day, TKO is just say between the 100 million and 150 million by essentially removing so many jobs and things like that because they could operate UFC and WWE with the same office staff.
I wonder if they're even I don't know what the terms of the deal was. I wonder if they're even allowed to sell it right now. They just bought the damn thing. Sometimes in, deals, there's we got to keep this thing for 3 years.
Yeah, there's a period by which you can't unload it after you just acquire it. Yeah.
I don't even know if that's the case here. It's probably not. But yeah, I don't know. It would seem weird because WWE is a money maker. And it's they need to make money because they've got so much debt. Mm-hmm. Why would they sell it? That
why
sounds
would they
weird
sell
to
one
me.
of their actual profitable entities? I mean, they got to pay for that bull riding thing somehow, so.
Yeah, that's obviously the vanity project that they're thinking is going to be, because they've got various forms of entertainment. Of course, UFC, WWE. They also have the professional bull riding. Yeah. And I think they got the slap fighting also.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I think they do, or is that just Dana White?
That might just be a Dana White thing. I don't know.
Oh, really? Okay. Maybe
I don't know. Honestly, don't know. I don't know if that's under the UFC TKO umbrella or if that's something he has on the side. I don't know. I don't pay attention to Power Slap.
Yeah, neither do I. It seems horribly unsafe. It was fun back when it was underground and it's oh, look at what the Russians are doing. Or it's he bought the phone booth MMA.
Yeah.
It's wow, that seems incredible. Or the car. Remember, he's the car MMA.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's well, this is amusing, but doesn't seem very safe.
No, it
probably
doesn't seem safe.
Shouldn't be encouraged.
I wonder if there's a market in North America for the MMA when they're wearing suits of armor. Have you seen that?
Yeah, that's great. That seems safe actually. You're not going to get yourself messed up doing that.
The team MMA.
Team MMA seems wildly unsafe.
Yeah.
But it's really fun. And then of course nowadays you've got German suplex basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think maybe you or Dope sent a clip of this in our group chat.
Yeah.
Where it's people, they shoot the hoop and then they get German suplexed.
Yeah. I can't tell if the floor has any give to it or not, or if it's standard hardwood.
I find it really difficult to believe it's standard hardwood, but then where are they going to get a really soft floor that they put in basketball hoops and stuff?
I know.
So it's probably hardwood. That's horrible.
It's dangerous.
I played hoops once on a carpeted floor.
See, I've always heard about the carpeted floor for hoops, but I don't think I've ever actually. I've been in places that had the carpeted floor with basketball hoops, but I've never played on a carpeted floor.
It's not that bad. It's you just want to make sure that you don't have a quick first step because that carpet will.
Yeah. She will slide out from under you, huh?
It needs to be like shag carpeting, really. That'd be interesting. Because this is like
that'd be even slipperier.
Yeah, that'd be horrible. This is like it's like the thinnest of like
Yeah, it's like the office carpeting. Yeah,
carpeting. Yeah, exactly. It was
you
like
get shag carpeting. You're sliding all over the place.
It was at church. It was one of them church leagues. You know, they make do with what they got, what the good Lord gave them.
I guess so.
Good Lord gave them some carpet.
I guess so. The ball on. Anyways, yeah, it doesn't make any sense why TKO at this juncture would try to unload WWE on somebody else when it's probably
unless
they've
got
makes more money for them, WWE or UFC.
Oh, I don't know. They pay those UFC dudes pennies.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm assuming, and on top of that, it costs so much money just to watch UFC. I just want to watch it anymore. I don't want to get ESPN Plus, and then on top of that, pay $100 for it.
You got to pay $10 a month just for the opportunity to spend $70 a month to watch the UFC pay-per-views.
Right? Yeah, it's horrible. So
it's terrible.
So yeah, I used to watch UFC a lot, but then they sort of closed off the idea that I can watch any of the big shows for a reasonable price.
Mm-hmm.
I used to watch it on there was like an app you could watch like live streams on phones from across the world, and then people would always be at a bar and they'd have it on the television. That's how I used to get my UFC content.
There you go.
I forgot what it's called. It starts with a P. Anyways.
Oh, Periscope.
That's the one. I think it's on. Yeah. I think it went under though.
That was Twitter's live streaming thing, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
Well, Steve, it's a good day. July 4th is going to be a great day.
A great day. And
that's because on that day, Smackdown is going back to 2 hours. This is brought to you by PW Insider reporting, quote, W Friday Night Smackdown will revert to 2 hours on Friday, July the 4th.
Steve and Larson win again. Oh, my gosh. Wow. I'm excited. It's like now, get off at 8 p.m., go get my load on. Because now as it stands, we get off at like 9, and then I got to put this thing together, upload it.
Then it's like, at that point, 9:30, 10 o'clock. It's kind of late to go get your load on.
My bedtime's like 10:30.
You got to wait till Saturday. But here's the thing, 4th of July, you can get your load on all day. We're not covering the first 2 hours SmackDown. I'm watching Pyrotechnics.
Nobody's going to be watching that SmackDown. They might as well just do a clip show.
Yeah, maybe they will.
But people
want to do 3-hour SmackDown.
Unless, let me ask this. Would we cover it if every match had fireworks going off in the ring continuously? Like every match was a grand finale of a city fireworks.
They would have to advertise that in advance.
Well, yeah, sure.
If not, if that's one thing we just find out, obviously, during or after the fact, we wouldn't. But in advance, we're like, hey, every match, the rings would be circled with pyrotechnics.
We have to talk about that one.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't like fireworks though, so I'm surprised.
No, I didn't like them because back when Gypsy Bug was around, because it just added more stress to my life.
Well, I remember when we went to SummerSlam 2016 and the Dudley's pyro went off.
Oh yeah.
You about leapt so high that you leapt over the row in front of you and fell from the suite we were in.
Yeah, I think I established a new record for my vertical leap.
Yeah,
I was like that 79-year-old who can dunk now.
Mm-hmm. Confirmed he can dunk?
I think he did a follow-up video where he could dunk. I haven't watched it yet though. I was not into that. It was really loud and surprising to me. So that's horrible. But they're fun. The kids like it, so I have to like it. I don't have a choice. Anyways, let's talk about this. Seth freaking Rollins might be adding to his freaking faction. And I heard recently that they're supposed to be getting like a actual
new
name
theme,
at some
right?
point. A new theme to go with the new name.
Yeah.
So this is from bodyslam.net's Corey Hayes on Twitter. Says Body Slam has learned through sources that WWE has had discussions regarding adding more members to the Seth Rollins group down the line. Among the names that were pitched were current NXT North American champion Ethan Page, Ego, and former NXT North American champion Ricky Saints. Who would work better in that faction?
Well, based on their characters now, obviously it's Ethan Page. He's actually a heel.
Yeah, Ethan Page would work really well, I think. He's like,
I
think he'd be the oldest member of that group, minus Heyman. I think I'm right about that.
He's older than Seth?
I want to say, I mean, he said he's been in the business for like 25 years.
I mean, Seth's been around for a while too.
Ethan Page is 35. Seth Rollins is what, 38?
Seth is older. He's probably 37.
Oh, he's 39. Okay, so he's only 4 years younger than Seth.
Well, I would assume that if and when there's a match between Ethan Page and Ricky Saints, whoever loses that match is probably the front runner of these two, at least, to join Seth's group.
I hope so. For Ethan Page, I really hope so. So he's actually younger than Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed is 36.
All right.
Isn't Ricky Saints like bizarrely old?
He's in his mid-30s too, I think.
Ricky Saints is 35. So him and Page are the same age. Wow, I'm learning all sorts of stuff today.
Yeah, but it'd be kind of a bit jarring if Ricky Saints, who's babyface in NXT, comes up and joins heel faction on main roster. Ethan Page makes a lot of sense. And here's the thing. You can't just have Ethan Page stand around and be henchman like Bronson and Braun are doing, because so much of his appeal is his character work.
Yeah, his personality.
It might actually force creative to be like, hey, we got to explore the dynamics between these characters now. If Ethan Page is called up and put in that faction.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna counter this. I'm gonna say this. I think Ricky Saints, as he currently is incredibly boring. I think him being a good guy in NXT is boring as shit. And I think that his best work has always been as a bad guy. And so him being kind of like the Starscream type to Seth Rollins' Megatron or whatever, where he's like, he's all on board at first, but like you can't help but think, oh, this guy might be like prepping to stab me in the back. Not saying that they couldn't do the same thing with Ethan Page, but as they both stand now, Saints, I think, has more to benefit from this as a character because he'd be given something interesting. Ideally, again, like you said, they'd have to explore, you know, the character dynamics, which they don't do.
No.
But if they started doing that, then I think that could be really, really interesting for Ricky Saints as opposed to what he's doing right now. On the other hand, if Page comes up to main roster just as he is, he risks becoming just sort of Miz 2.0. So I think either one, they need to be really making their own cases here because I think either one would be in a really good spot if they got this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But especially Saints, because Saints ain't, I mean, his character is just boring right now.
Yeah, I know. I don't disagree with that. I guess if they are striving for any measure of continuity between NXT and main roster, although I guess it would just take one promo. Yeah, I got a call from Seth. This opportunity too good to pass up, so I did it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It wouldn't take a massive leap, but again, if continuity is of any importance, it would just be a little bit jarring. But again, a couple sentences, they can make it work. We got an update on Liv Morgan, courtesy of PW Insider. They say the following, quote, Liv Morgan's separated shoulder will require surgery. PW Insider has learned from multiple WWE sources pretty much the worst case scenario from the freak injury this past Monday that seems she will be out a lengthy amount of time. So when we did our initial research, quick internet search, as far as recuperation time for a dislocated shoulder, it seemed like it'd be a matter of 6 weeks to several months. If surgery is necessary, that would seem to be a several months scenario. So whatever plans they may have had for Liv at Evolution 2 and SummerSlam thereafter, I think I saw a thing on Cage Side Seats the other day that they're going to have to do a lot of creative reshuffling now because it seemed that the least Liv was going to be taking on Nikki Bella at Evolution, if not maybe some sort of tag match with the Bellas against her and Raquel. Maybe it's going to be as simple as Liv's out, Roxanne will step in. That would seem to make sense.
Yeah, you got to think, dude. Like, there's two ways to look at this. Number one, it seemed like, I mean, obviously they're in the thick of, and granted, it's kind of slow moving, but every week there's another little tiny piece to it. But the Judgment Day, they're in the middle of like, oh, when is this Finn and Dom thing going to explode? That's going to have reverberations all over the place, and including the Liv and Roxanne stuff. Glass half full to a degree, I guess you could say, well, when Rhea went out, last year, 2 years ago, whenever it was, and it allowed Liv to take on a bigger role, and they were able to get creative to a place where it's like, oh, that actually really benefited Liv. Maybe her absence will, sometimes when you pivot you come up with something better than the original plan. Mm-hmm. And, everybody loves a big return. So you got that going for you. It is a shame, though, because, it sounds like from what we've read, there were some pretty big plans in place for the entirety of the Judgment Day. And now that's all going to have to shift and change. And, it's a bummer for her. And it was on such a sort of mundane move, but that's where so much of this stuff happens.
Yeah.
When Triple H tore the quad off the bone, I think he was just running. he was getting
planting. He was planning it.
Yeah, he was planning. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, when Vince tore his quads, he was standing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When Shane tore his, it was a leapfrog. I mean, it's a pretty basic thing. So
yeah, those dudes are super old though.
WrestleVotes Radio had the news about changing Evolution 2 plans in light of Liv's injury. So
well, that's some Captain Obvious stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, man, until Finn Balor gets that big push in 2025, grain of salt with them WrestleVotes dudes. Well, whoever he is, whatever he is.
There's still half a year, Steve. It could still happen.
It could still, if he wins the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam, yeah.
Would an Intercontinental title reign really constitute a huge push?
Compared to what he's been getting over the last couple of years, yeah. Yeah, absolutely, 1,000%. Yeah. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about the sponsors for this week. Why don't we?
Let's do it. Let's take a break. Get a word from our sponsor, DeleteMe. Steve, you know me, yeah?
Yes, I do.
You do, and you know that privacy is a huge deal for me, which is one reason why it drives me absolutely crazy. Whenever I find out that my personal data is apparently just out there available online. I can think of several times over the years that someone has tried to use my identity to buy something.
Oh, my goodness gracious. That sounds horrible. Well, the great thing is DeleteMe makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. When you sign up with DeleteMe, you can tell them exactly what information you want deleted, and they'll do all the hard work of getting it all removed from data broker sites. Plus, DeleteMe isn't just a one-time service. They'll send you regular reports on what info they've found, where they found it, and what was removed.
So take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for DeleteMe. Now at a special discount for our listeners, today get 20% off your DeleteMe plan by texting RAW to 64000.
The only way to get 20% off is to text RAW to 64000. That's RAW to 64000. Message and data rates may apply.
And let's get a word from our sponsor, Cash App. So, Steve, wife and I went out with some friends recently. We were paying the bill. I had to think for a moment about the best way to cover my portion of the bill when someone else was just going to pay for it all up front and we would reimburse them. So I was thinking about
Yeah, I guarantee I know you did. You got out your checkbook, you old man.
You really think I got out my checkbook?
Yeah, man. Nah. Because you remember I was telling you about Cash App a couple weeks ago because I'm sure you use that. I mean, Cash App is literally an official partner of WWE and sponsored Money in the Bank. So tell me, Larson, did you get out your checkbook?
You really think I got out my checkbook? No! You didn't let me finish. I was going to say thanks to you, Steve. I had Cash App on my phone, was able to get the money moved over super quick.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you didn't use your checkbook because here's the deal. Cash App is a safe, easy, and fast way to send, receive, and transfer money to family and friends. It's also easy to get started. Just enter your phone or email and some other basic information. No bank account needed, and it's secure and safe. Like if you're about to send money to a sketchy account, a scam warning pops up.
For a limited time only, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real. There's no catch. Just download Cash App and sign up. Use our exclusive referral code GOINGRAW in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App.
All right. Now it's my favorite time of the week because we're going to ask the friendos, what do you want to talk about?
So,
what do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? So, first up, from Femtrapta. Says, what do you think about the NXT crowd chanting, "Fire Def Rebel," after Jordan Grace got her music changed? So apparently, according to Sean Rossap, he says that WWE, they want to own it all. They want to own all their theme songs now. And on top of that, this is why I think Jordan Grace would make a killer addition to the Seth crew. Because one of the reasons is the beginning of her theme song, which the one that she used in TNA and then brought over with her, she owns that. Mm-hmm. The magic in those tapes, that belongs to her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got sirens at the beginning of it. Well, somebody else has got sirens at the beginning of theirs, Braun Breaker. The cool thing about the etymology of all this, the origins of her sirens, rest with Big Papa Pump as well.
Exactly.
Because when she was Big Mama Pump in TNA.
They tagged for a while, yeah.
They tagged for a while, yeah. And so she added that to her deal. And then they're like, well, Braun Breaker already has that.
Well, that's not true because Jordan, I believe, had the sirens before Braun had the sirens. So I believe Jordan's sirens predates Braun's sirens. Therefore, I feel like Jordan should be able to keep the sirens.
I agree with that. Unfortunately, Paul Levesque doesn't feel the same way. And yeah, I think it's a real shame. As far as the crowd chanting Def Rebel, yeah, embarrassing for WWE.
I will say this. The theme isn't as good as her TNA one. As Def Rebel themes go, it's not bad.
Def Rebel has been not terrible lately. Like, there's some absolute stinkers that are not an improvement. Like, for example, Finn Balor's theme these days is awful compared to what he had before. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But, the Lucha Bros each have pretty decent themes, and they brought in the Tool guy to do that stuff. Adam Jones, yeah. There's been some recently. Like, I know you and I split on this, but Ethan Page's theme song, I kind of like that one. I think it's awful. Awful. What did you think of Blake Monroe's?
Oh, that was fine.
It fits her. Yeah, fits what they're doing with her.
I think
it's fine.
More the issue with a lot of Def Rebel themes isn't necessarily their quality per se, is that they all sound kind of similar and kind of generic.
The DIY one is literally just a rip of Undisputed Era.
Well, then DIY and Austin Theories for a while sound the exact same.
Yeah. Naomi's new one is awesome. Yeah. I will say this. They gave Naomi a killer one. They were saving that one up for somebody.
Yeah. So, like, if they find a way to match a Def Rebel theme with a character and the fit is good, then that's cool. But just so often it's like, all right, what do you got? And maybe they have like 5 options they send, and then management says, all right, well, let's use this one, whether it's actually a good fit or not.
Yeah, I do think that a change needs to be made, though.
Yeah, probably.
Especially
when you hear Asuka's theme that she got back.
Oh, I'm so glad about that. Again, hey, I'm waiting for tonight on SmackDown when she shows up, because it's entirely possible they simply hit the wrong button. Remember that happened to Sami Zayn once?
Yeah.
It was like, oh, does he have that theme, his heel theme back? And no, they just hit the wrong button.
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping they didn't hit the wrong button on Monday.
They played, but after she won, they played her old theme again.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
You probably, yeah. Well, yeah. So, I mean, they had to have played her theme. That's a good point.
So I'm hoping that Triple H realizes, all right, this theme is so important to Asuka's presentation that we can't change it.
Yeah, dude, I hope so.
I'm hoping. Jacques Turner here says MJF being attacked by a fan due to the heat is a great story. Kayfabe is still real. So apparently after Grand Slam Mexico last night, MJF was confronted following what happened during his match with Mystico.
Yeah.
And I think it was Fightful that had that.
Yeah, Sean Ross Sapp broke it during his the recap.
Yeah. So I read about it this morning, I believe. A fan went after MJF at the hotel after the show.
So MJF apparently was really proud of this. He was like, hey, that's great. It got these people really heated. I'm all for it. I mean, obviously you got to be careful with, like, okay, a fan tried to attack him and fan produced a knife and gutted him. Like, that's 2 completely different things.
Yeah.
But it's like, I feel like one might not be so far away from the other. If somebody's crazy enough to, like, go after a wrestler, then they're probably crazy enough to, like, get really violent about it. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, y'all need to be careful out there.
Yeah.
That's my thing, is that who's to say that, oh, this guy, I'm so proud of myself because I elicited a real reaction. Well, you got to be really careful with that kind of stuff.
You do have to be careful, yes.
Yes. But no, I mean, it's, hey, you got that reaction. That crowd, I can't wait to talk about this Grand Slam Mexico show, because that crowd was electric.
Oh, it was amazing.
It was an awesome show, and hats off to AEW. They should be so proud of themselves.
We basically got a pay-per-view on free cable television.
If every show had that kind, well, number one, I mean, it's hard to get that kind of crowd. It's a market that, they did a really, really good job of integrating the CMLL stuff, and building this show. It's a market that's starved for AEW, and sometimes you just get magic like that. It's like the WWE shows that are, outside of its normal market. That's why you usually get those great crowds.
Mm-hmm. So. Speaking of Grand Slam Mexico, Bucket Dipper here says Tony Khan going to the owner of CMLL to ask that Beast Mortos be allowed to wrestle in Arena Mexico. I don't know exactly the backstory, but I did read about this too.
So I think it was like around 15. I read. I think it was on Reddit. So 15 years ago, he bolted to AAA, and then CMLL was like, "Ain't gonna be here anymore, buddy."
Yeah.
And so that, therein lies Tony Khan going over there in person saying, hey, can this guy be part of the Death Riders for one night only?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, it's great. He went there in person, didn't pick up the phone, didn't send a text message. Hey, nope. Can Beast Mortos be here?
Nope.
So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Chow Weezy here says Gail Kim being backstage the past few NXT tapings and Undertaker considering joining creative.
So yeah, I read this about Undertaker. I honestly, dude, I think I only read like the headline on it though. I didn't dive into it, but evidently Undertaker is interested in putting his creative input. Judging by his performance as a coach on LFG, I'll say two things about him.
All right.
Number one, the dude is about, like, he came off as very, like, sort of fatherly, like he was like, he was very supportive of his team. He really got along great with his team. He had good chemistry. I don't know what ideas he's going to have to offer. But if it's a matter of like being involved with the creative is giving advice to like the locker room or like, new characters who are coming up from NXT and he's like, hey, I got some ideas for how to approach your character. I mean, let the guy say what he's got to say, I guess.
I didn't watch LFG, so, but based on that, it seems like maybe as opposed to being like a full-fledged member of creative, I don't know what ideas he has.
I don't know if he's going to be sitting in the writer's room.
But like a situation where he's, whether in NXT, like, I don't want to use the word coach, but, a coach there, or something more like a producer role.
Yeah.
Where he's working with talent to put together matches and stuff like that.
I don't think there'd be any downside to having him backstage hanging out, offering his 2 cents. Now is he going to be coming up with 14 weeks of stories? Fucking maybe. I don't know. Maybe this dude's got all sorts of crazy shit. He's like, yeah, man, I offered 15 ideas to Vince for the Powers of Darkness. And
or for all we know, the Undertaker versus fake Undertaker with Leslie Nielsen trying to find real Undertaker, that was all his idea.
Maybe that was all him. I don't know. I don't know what the guy can do. Give him a chance. Fuck, he's a legend. Let him do what he's going to do. But yeah, in terms of the minutia of like the day to day, what it's like to be a writer, I don't know that that's what he wants to do. That'd be weird.
Yeah.
Sitting there trying to collaborate with all these like 20 and 30 something year olds,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Last one here from Florian says Vince trying to buy Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. Like, what is so? Apparently, let's. I'll get on WrestleZone here. What is this?
So,
there was a meeting according to Justin Barrasso. The former WWE CEO recently made an attempt to buy a controlling interest in the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. So BKFC's founder and president, David Feldman, provided a statement to the outlet. This confirmed that a meeting between the two parties had happened. Feldman, however, is reporting unwilling to give up full control. He said this: he's a great guy. His whole team is great, but the timing of it wasn't right for us. He's Vince McMahon. If I were him, I'd want creative control too. He was awesome, very complimentary. He's very serious to do business. Question for you, Larson.
Uh-huh.
What kind of creative control would you wield over bare knuckle fighting.
I mean, I've never seen the product, so I don't know how much of it is. Like, do they try to tell stories, or do they just put people in the ring with no gloves on and throw hands?
I'm pretty sure it's that. I've seen, I don't know if it's specifically BKFC. They should do an integration with KFC, obviously. How about you get, oh, I got this. Vince shows up. He's like, oh, I'm bringing KFC with me. We got an idea. There's this underdog guy named Chicken Little.
I was going to say, how about this? Instead of using boxing gloves or fight gloves, they tape some double down sandwiches on their hands.
And he's going to take on the Roman Reigns of BKFC, Colonel Sanders. And it's Dolph Ziggler, but he's Colonel Sanders.
Or Shawn Michaels.
Or Shawn Michaels, but he's Colonel Sanders. Or they got just some big fucking gassed up Jack Meathead to be Colonel Sanders.
Now, I wonder when the founder of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship spoke of creative control, it was less about, hey, what are the stories we're going to write for the matches as they happen now? But that was something that Vince wanted to add to the program.
I hope so. Dude, I'm all for this. Like, he's trying to build up it's like growth hormones and Minoru Suzuki back when we were doing fun wrestling. He's like trying to build up some dude, and then this other guy comes in. This shit's unpredictable. You can't be like, oh, I'm going to push this guy.
Yeah.
It takes one bare knuckle to lay a dude out.
Yeah.
I don't think this is the same thing, but I do remember being at a bar once, getting my load on, and on the television was bare knuckle boxing or bare knuckle fighting, but it was in a triangle. The ring was a triangle. So, like, you get back down into the cone of the triangle.
Oh, wow, that's bad.
Yeah, you're donezo. This was crazy. It seemed like it shouldn't be legal. Honestly, bare knuckle fighting should not be legal.
Yeah,
It is the one sport, like, because I've watched. I'm not going to say plenty, but I've seen enough to know this is one of those that it's not even like slap fighting where it's like, oh man, slap fighting, that looked like that hurt. This is like continuously like, oh, fuck me. That looks like it's horrible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is rough. This is like, they keep on pushing the limits to like,
I know.
It's like, what are they going to do next? Like, what were we talking about earlier? Team MMA?
Yeah.
Dudes getting jumped.
Well, it's going to be like that movie Kickboxer, the Jean-Claude one.
Yeah, right.
Where they do the fights and they wrap the tape around their hands and then dip it in glass and stuff like that.
That's going to be next. You know what's wild to me is that Vince is like, I want to buy this.
No. Yeah, I know.
Why doesn't he just start one? Start a competitor. You have all the money in the world.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's crazy. Like, okay, well, you want it, just get it. I'm sure it's not that difficult. How much do you think these bare knuckle guys are getting paid? Can't be that much.
No, I doubt it's much at all.
Right, exactly. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like most of these guys are like just doing this to, get out of debt with their bookies. You better go in there.
I wonder if it's a situation where I don't know if Vince was earnest about his attempts to buy the company as opposed to, hey, I'll make an overture. The president will talk about it, and it's out there. Oh, I'm trying to get back into the combat sports arena,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy to me. All these dudes just want to buy stuff. Just make something. Like Shane McMahon. I want to come in and do all of AEW's creative. Okay, dude. Well, no. You're not going to do that. But you have hella money. Start up your own wrestling promotion.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Why are you trying to use other people's toys, man? Like, if you really want that, you've seen in that McMahon documentary, it's like, God damn, Shane kind of got the Kendall Roy treatment. Just start a new one. People love new shit.
I know. Yeah. That's what Kendall tried to do. The 100, remember?
The hundreds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Was it the 100 or hundreds?
Oh, the 100? Maybe it's the 100. What was the 100? What was that in reference to? Do you remember?
I don't remember. But it was their own cable news network.
Right, yeah.
Anyways,
So
let's talk Grand Slam Mexico. What a fun show.
Dude, this was wildly fun. Like my only thing about this was awesome. This was really great. This was
basically a pay-per-view level show on free cable.
I mean, the
television.
only reason I'd stop short before saying is like pay-per-view levels because
I know the title wasn't defended, but
there was no. I mean, they did the Mercedes title change, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But I feel it. The atmosphere, how big it felt. Yeah, definitely pay-per-view level.
The emphasis on in-ring action as opposed to talky bits. And I thought all the matches were really, really good.
Yeah, the matches were a lot of fun. They gave so much time to those matches. This was a 2.5-hour show. They did an overrun of over 30 minutes. Yeah, no, this was wildly fun. The crowd was absolutely awesome. Hangman's promo to open the thing was fantastic. I love that guy so much. I think he's so great. Yeah, no, I thought it was a killer show. It was a killer show.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot actually happened.
No, you had
it was a killer show.
Yeah, you had Mercedes winning the CMLL women's title. You had Hangman coming out to make the save for Swerve at the end of the main event.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't really emphasize that a ton, although commentary did mention it. But based on the situation where Swerve was the one that was getting beat up by Death Riders, and during his promo to open the show, Hangman said, "I'm not allowed in the arena during the main event. Doesn't mean I can't show up afterwards." So you know he's coming.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So the only question is the context in which he is coming to ringside after the main event, and it happened to be Swerve getting laid out by a Death Riders. And again, it wasn't like, "Oh my gosh, Hangman's coming to save Swerve." It was just one line from commentary. Hangman came out to help Swerve.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah.
So it's. I think it's not necessarily subtle, but it's effective in that they're not hammering this home.
Yeah.
To an obnoxious degree. They set it up. They make reference to it. You watch it play out. And it's not like Hangman goes over and helps Swerve up. Swerve's in the corner the whole time after Death Riders and the Young Bucks and Beast Mortos take their leave.
I do feel like it probably would have been different if it was an AEW presentation. I get the feeling this was like CMLL. Like they basically had their setup in terms of the presentation.
Yeah, because I think that's because they said that the barricades are bolted to the floor. That's the setup in that arena, I think, all the time.
Yeah.
And so how it was lit and all that, that's CMLL setup.
Yeah, I think they just used their production for this.
Yeah.
And I thought it benefited from it. You know, if you really want to go in and do a Grand Slam Mexico and Arena Mexico, then you should be using CMLL's production because they know what they're doing. They know how to produce their own show, and I think it adds to the flavor of the programming.
Yeah.
To do it that way. So I thought that was a big plus. But yeah, no, I thought this was really terrific. My favorite part of it, though, was Mystico's entrance. Because that song, La Quinta Estación, it's Me Muero. That fucking crowd was like almost in tears singing that song. And I'm like, I've got this is now the new Kazi ni Nare. This is the fucking song. I thought this was so fucking awesome. And you see the crowd like so emotional over this. I thought that was so fucking awesome.
And it's even kind of crazier because CMLL had a show in that same building the night before.
Yeah.
And to see that crowd so energetic, so passionate, so into the show.
Yeah, they had like, I don't know, what it was like 14,000 people there, something like that. It was a big ass
commentary
crowd.
Was saying over 10, but I could have.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, let's jump right into it. So we mentioned Hangman opens the show with a promo entirely in Spanish.
Yeah, you had Excalibur translating, but he kept on. There wasn't enough time for him to translate it between Hangman. Yeah. But I did catch on Reddit. Basically, he told a story about when he grew up. He was on a farm, and every year to help out with the farm, they would bring in some hands from Mexico. And he said there was a Juan, there was a Jorge, there were several Miguels, which got a pop from the crowd. And they taught him what working together really means. It was just a really simple, lovely promo. And he said, "Thank you for having us in your house." And then, of course, he says, I can't be there. I'm not allowed to be there for the main event, but there's nothing stopping me from being there after the main event. So that set up the post-match stuff.
And so the main event was a 10-man tag match. We saw the Ops, Will Ospreay, and Swerve Strickland team up against Mox, Wheeler Yuta, Young Bucks, and Beast Mortos. Down towards the end, the match breaks down. Yuta hits Ospreay with a knee plus. Shibata's looking for a sleeper on Yuta, but he escapes that. He hits Shibata with a knee plus. Shibata kind of no-sells, hits Wheeler with a PK. They're both down. Swerve and Mox both tag in. And then Swerve and Ospreay, this is a bit of a teaser for what we're probably going to see it all in against the Young Bucks, bust out some great double team offense on Mox. Swerve's looking for a stomp off the top. Matt Jackson grabs his foot. Will kicks Matt off the apron. Marina distracts the ref so Nick can push Swerve off the top rope, and then Mox rolls him up with a handful of tights to get the win.
Yeah.
So we get this huge brawl that erupts after the match. Mostly on the floor, but the Young Bucks and Mox are beating down Swerve in the ring. Hangman's music hits. And so Mox directs his attention towards him. We have a stare down from Hangman on the ramp. And the stage looked great. They had stairs to walk down.
The stage was awesome.
Stage was awesome. So Hangman comes to the ring, takes off his coat, gets right in Mox's face. They start throwing hands. Yuta gets in the ring. Page gives him a forearm. Mox throws Page to the apron. And the Page is looking for a buckshot on Mox, but then Matt Jackson ends up eating it. So then Mox tries to slide. He does slide out of the ring, tries to get back in with the briefcase. And as the rest of the Death Riders and the Young Bucks take their leave, and all the baby faces turn and spot him. And so Mox slides back out. Page chases him up the ramp for a bit, and as he turns around to get back to the ring, he has a stare down with the Young Bucks. And then show ends with Page in there with Samoa Joe and Hobbs and everybody else.
Yeah, really, really great stuff.
While Ospreay's checking on Swerve.
Yeah. Really seems like they're doing a good job setting up this all-in match for Hangman to win. We also had Mercedes Moné adding yet another title to her belt-collecting gimmick. She challenged for the CMLL and women's title and won against Zeusis. And this
was a rough spill for Zeusis on that suicide dive, though.
It was, yeah. It was, yeah. Even the finish I was kind of surprised by.
Yeah.
So Zeusis was looking for a slam off the second rope. Mercedes reverses and covers to get the win there.
I mean, I don't even know what you'd call it. It's kind of like reversing a power slam, kind of like you would do a Spanish fly.
Yeah.
Mercedes covers, yeah.
And then after the match, there's like a Tony Storm, like film noir type video package. It's all in black and white, plays on the Tron. Mina Shirakawa shows up on the stage to distract Mercedes as Tony sneaks up behind her in the ring. She hits Moné with a German suplex, and all of those titles go flying. Yeah. Moné runs out of the ring. Tony gives chase, looks for a Storm Zero. Moné escapes. Refs break things up. And Tony gets on the mic, says, Mercedes, let the games begin. So,
mentioned MJF versus Mystico. Really fun match. The question with this is how they were going to book the finish to protect both wrestlers. And so they did a DQ finish.
Yeah, I wasn't huge on that. I feel like MJF could have just taken a fucking loss here.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I feel like because the entire time MVP is telling him, stick on him, get on him, because he kept on preening to the crowd, doing the American gimmick and the heel American gimmick. And he kept on telling him, you know, press the action, and he wouldn't listen to him. I thought it'd be totally fine for him to take like an actual, like he took the DQ loss because he just in front of the view of the ref, he got tired of the match and he kicked Mystico square in the nuts, and then they threw the match out or awarded a DQ win for Mystico. But yeah, wasn't huge on that. I'm like, you know what? Mercedes is beating the CMLL champion for the title. You can go the other way and have in the other solo match, that's, you know, promotion versus promotion. You can have the AEW person take a loss there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wasn't huge on that finish, but the match itself was really good.
Yeah, it was really good. Afterwards, her syndicate hits the ring. They attack Mystico. Then MJF rips off Mystico's mask, puts it on himself, and then Bandito, Templario, and Titan come to the ramp to distract Hurt Syndicate so Speedball Bailey and Kevin Knight can hit them with missile dropkicks. So it seems like Speedball and Kevin Knight are getting a tag title shot at some point.
Certainly looks that way. Before we continue here, I want to bring this up really quick. We got new merch. It's the summertime. You might want to hit the courts, shoot some balls. We got some jerseys for you. That's right. It's the Friendo Club Hoops Collection. Right now, these are good to go to the gym, to the beach, just hanging out, farmer's market during the summertime, 4th of July, lighting off some fireworks or whatever, or hit the courts, ball up in these new Friendo Club jerseys. They're available right now at friendoshop.com. You can use the promo code Friendo2024 still. That's the promo code, and get 20% off. We also have a couple hats, hoodies, shirts. We got all sorts of merch there at the Friendo Club. But right now we got our new hoops collection, and there they are. They're the jerseys. I love these things. They're like super comfortable.
Yeah.
The colors pop.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to making more of these, honestly, just sort of for myself, because these are they're really cozy and comfy. They
are. The quality is really good. The quality is really good.
Yeah, I really love these things.
We had Mark Briscoe defending the honor of Kenny Omega, challenging Okada to a match. So we get this really good recap of what went down last week between Okada and Omega. A lot of shots of Kenny spitting up blood.
That was awesome.
And so during Mark Briscoe's entrance, he's got a promo picture-in-picture. Says, I consider Kenny a friend. We've had matches against each other. We tagged together. I had Kenny's back at Anarchy in the Arena, and I got Kenny's back now. Okada, I'll see you at Grand Slam Mexico. So then, of course, Okada gets the win here. He escapes a Jay Driller, hits a tombstone, then a Rainmaker to get the win. Don Callis is on commentary, so he leaves commentary and joins Okada in the ring, raises his hand. Okada's celebrating the win while the crowd is chanting for Kenny. So then Callis holds up Briscoe. Okada blasts him in the gut with the Continental title, blasts him in the head, and then he and Callis just start stomping on Briscoe.
Yeah. Another good match here.
Yeah.
We had 4 million pesos on the line in this high-flying four-way match. You put these names in the ring together: Ricochet, Leo Rush, Hologram, and Mascara Dorada. You're going to have some crazy shit, especially when Ricochet and Leo Rush are trying to team up the entire time.
Yeah. Well, then for a stretch, it was Hologram and Mascara Dorada that were teaming up for a little bit.
Yep.
This match was tons of fun. We could list off the moves, but it wouldn't do it justice. Just go watch it.
Yeah, this was really, really good. And again, they gave this match tons of, all these matches had tons of time.
Yeah. So in the end, Leo Rush is going for the springboard stunner. Hologram blocks that, hits his finisher to get the win. But yeah, go out of your way to check this out. It was so much fun. And then we had a massive...
Of course, Hologram here won $209,723 American.
Mm-hmm.
It's 4 million pesos.
He's 25-0 now.
Yeah, is he going to get a title shot of any kind anytime
You'd think
soon?
he'd get a title opportunity at some point.
Like, what the hell? Even introduce like a lucha-type title.
Or,
you know?
Cruiserweight title or something.
How is he not getting like a TNT, title match?
For reals.
Son.
How come he's not challenging Mox?
Yeah, it should be Hologram dethroning Mox.
With that winning streak. Heck yeah. So then we got this massive 14-man tag match. It's the first match of the show.
A lot of people.
So you had Bandito, Templario, Atlantis Jr., Adam Cole and Brody King, and Daniel Garcia against Hechicero, Dax Harwood, Lance Archer, Josh Alexander, Kyle Fletcher, Takeshita, and Volador Jr. So Stokely cuts the promo during Dax's entrance. This kind of explained why Cash wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And so this match was crazy. It was long. Literally, I think all the entrances alone took about 8 minutes.
Yeah.
8 to 10. It was an interesting dynamic to see Atlantis on the face team, and yet the crowd would boo him every time he did anything.
So I got a little bit of context for that.
Yeah.
His son is basically like the Roman Reigns of. So Atlantis's dad is like the booker of the show, or is one of the higher ups in the company.
Yeah.
And so Atlantis Jr., they're basically trying to ram down everybody's throat.
Gotcha.
And so they're all taken out on Atlantis and Atlantis Jr., even though they're supposed to be good guys. They're getting the Roman Reigns booing treatment.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting dynamic. So when it's this crazy match, all sorts of crazy action happening throughout, and it ends with Atlantis rolling up Dax to get the win.
Yeah, just to roll up. Yeah. And it was like a face-to-face roll-up, too.
Dax is just punching him, and there's a little break between the punches, and Atlantis just rolls him up.
Yeah.
So then Dax attacks Atlantis after the match, but then Atlantis Jr. chases him off.
Yeah, pretty funny stuff. But I love that. You know what? I love, this is like completely, it's not really apples and oranges, but when TNA went through that spell back in like 2017, when like, I feel like they couldn't really, it's either they couldn't, I feel like it was cost effective to go into other territories, film their matches there, and then put those on TV because they went through a period of time when they would do that.
We went to one of those shows.
And yeah. And I think it was like Jeff Jarrett's Global Force way of doing things. That's how he wanted to do everything, is just go into other territories, film and put on television.
Yeah.
And the thing that I loved about that is you always get a feel for localities, for, you know, what the local shit is like. I still think that'd make a killer docuseries.
Yeah.
You and I going into different wrestling towns, taking in the cuisine of the area.
First and foremost, yeah.
What are all the Waffle Houses like, you know?
Yeah.
Where do the wrestlers go to eat? And then we do the show, you know?
Yeah. That'd be fun. So that was Dynamite. We also had NXT this week. The focus of NXT were the Evolution Eliminator matches. We had 4 of them. All 4 of them. So now we have, let's see, Lash Legend, Jada Parker, Izzy Dame, and Jordan Grace all advancing to this 4-way match next week. The winner is going to face JC Jane for the title at Evolution. Who you got facing JC, Steve?
All right, so wait. What are those names again?
It's Jada Parker.
Okay.
It is Lash Legend.
Okay.
It's Izzy Dame, and it's Jordan Grace.
I mean, you gotta think it's Jordan Grace. But then, like, if she's heading to Maine, I mean, is it just going to be... So here's the thing. They keep on harping on this idea that JC Jane is the most beatable champion. They have to give her wins. And so I'm assuming that they're going to do the same thing to her, to Jordan Grace, that they did to Stephanie Vaquer, is just have Fatal Influence get involved, and that leads to Jordan Grace taking the loss. But you got to give JC Jane some wins, some good wins.
Yeah, before Blake Monroe beats her for the championship.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's going to be Jordan Grace because she's not going to miss Evolution. So, and she's going to be going to Maine soon. So, yeah, that makes sense.
It does make sense. So, opening the show, we had Jada taking on Thea Hale. So the finish of this saw Thea put on a Kimura, and then Jada tapped, but the ref's on the opposite side of her, so doesn't see it.
Yeah.
And so Thea releases the hold, celebrating, thinking she had won because she felt the tap because Jada tapped on her thigh.
Mm-hmm.
And then while Thea's celebrating, the ref's like, no, what are you celebrating for? Jada hits Thea with Hypnotic and gets the win. And then Kalani Jordan faces Lash Legend in another eliminator match. Kalani's looking for a 450, but Lash gets her knees up, follows with her finisher to get the win. We have this bit backstage where Sol Ruka and Zarya are walking backstage ahead of Zarya's match. They're talking about social media videos and stuff. And in the background, Tatum Paxley exits a road case as they leave. And so Zarya has a match against Izzy Dame. Zarya has the upper hand, and then Tatum shows up ringside and hugs Sol Ruka from behind. And Zarya's like, what the heck's going on out there?
Yeah.
That allows Izzy to hit Sky High to get the win. And then Lola Vice took on Jordan Grace. Jordan gets the win with Beast Mode.
That Beast Mode is such a move, man.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's such a move. Yeah. See, if you want Undertaker and creative, put him in NXT where it's all like super young people, you know? All right, and then here's the deal. You guys are going to be doing one of them TikToks. And then maybe I found this trending right here on TikTok. You could do this dance right here. Like, what are you talking about, old man?
Yeah, no.
I'm going to get out my checkbook.
This is from 6 months ago.
This isn't trending now. What?
No one's doing this anymore.
Dang it, dude. How about you do some cat videos? Do we have any cats here?
2005?
Black cats because their powers of darkness.
So the main event segment was Blake Monroe signing her NXT contract. So we got a video package early in the show with essentially about her picking out the dress she's going to wear for the proceedings.
Yeah.
And so later she arrives at the Performance Center. The Neva's in the ring for the contract signing. She introduces Blake. Blake makes her way out. Says, the moment you all gushed and glammed for is here. This is the best women's division in the world. I've been dreaming of hopping into bed with the kind of talent in that women's locker room. It's no secret WWE has always been my dream, and now that I'm here, this women's division is all mine because the glamour raises the bar, turns head, and redefines what it means to be a star. So, ladies, the spotlight is firmly on the glamour Blake Monroe. She signs a contract. Fatal Influence comes out. JC asks Ava, why are you kissing the newbie's ass? Because last time I checked, Fatal Influence has been running division all year. And did we get a celebration? What about Fallon? Fallon's like, I didn't. Certainly when I didn't when I got the North American title. And Jasmine says, it is impossible to keep your eyes off of Blake, but if you came to NXT to take what Fatal Influence has built, then you're delusional. So Blake then says, Fatal Influence, you're all as insecure as you are bitches. And JC says, this division doesn't need you. She says, I've been seeing people like you walk through the door, and then Blake interrupts and then slaps JC. So then the brawl breaks out, ends up with JC hitting a rolling encore, and then her and Fallon double team chokeslam Blake through the table.
Yeah, laid her out. Yeah, man. Yeah, I just looked up Mariah May because I was kind of curious, like where she was born in England. It's in the London area, which is a huge area. But her real name is Mariah May Mead. Mead.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of interesting. Mead. Mead. Trick Williams at this point is back to being one of my favorite characters.
Oh, and he was doing bicep curls with the weight and then the title.
This version of Trick is the way he needs to be
going
forward in his call up to main roster. Because face Trick's kind of boring. This is more in line with like sidekick Trick, but now he's a main event guy and he's a champion. This version of Trick is peak Trick Williams, and they need to keep him around because I love it. The bit with Casey Navarro and AJ Francis and then Wes Lee, I thought that was all really good stuff. Wes, I got to tell you something. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, that was great.
That was on me, man. I'm sorry. That was really good stuff. Yeah, this version of Trick is awesome.
Oh, he's hilarious. So much fun. So we had a couple backstage segments. That one, also one with Briggs, Inamura, and Elijah ahead of a 6-man tag match. And Inamura pins Trick.
Yeah.
After hitting his splash off the top.
Well, it's because he gets all that kinetic energy when he's doing the thing, and then he releases it in the splash.
Yeah. So then later on, Briggs and Inamura are backstage, and Briggs is like, you pinned the champ. You deserve a TNA title shot. Inamura says, you're my friend. I came back for you, so if I get a title shot, I'm going to give it to you. And Briggs is like, all right, you don't have to do that. And Inamura's like, imagine this. You're TNA champ, and I'm NXT champion.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Briggs is about it. He's like, yeah, man, let's do it, man. Yeah. We also had, so let me ask you about this. Ricky Saints' Low Talker. What'd you think? So we had, this segment was Ethan Page's backstage Vanity Project, and they're laughing about Page injuring Ricky Saints. So Ricky steps in, and he says, next week we're going to get cleared. I'm going to get cleared, and I'm coming after you, Page. And then Jackson Drake is like, speak up, man. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I know. What's that?
What'd you say?
And next thing you know, Brad Baylor's wearing a puffy shirt.
I don't want to be a pirate. So Vanity Project's like, look, if you want Paige, you need to get through us. And then Ashanti is just hanging out there, and he was like, hey, man, you suck or whatever.
Yeah,
and
then he's shit to Ricky, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, you know what? It's going to be us against you. And Ricky's like, you don't have any numbers, man. He looks behind him, and Vanity Projects is left. And he's like, oh, damn it.
Yeah.
Vanity Project.
Yeah. Ashanti's pretty funny.
He is pretty funny. But he says Adonisly. That should make me laugh.
So then, Tavion Height's been trying to find a way to get out of NQCC. Like, why can't he just leave?
Again, you got to wonder, is this does he have a management deal? Was this like a Lou Pearlman type situation?
What contract you got to sign to be a member of NQCC?
It's like a Dr. Dre. No, who's Jerry? What was the dude's name? NWA's original manager? Jerry something?
What's his last name?
It was actually Eazy-E had management contracts on the rest of NWA. That's why Dr. Dre talked so much shit about him.
Yeah.
And back in the day, like when I was introduced to all that stuff, I was like, man, this Dr. Dre guy really hates this Eazy-E guy, but they used to be friends. And then you find out, well, yeah, because Eazy-E was smart. He had like everything Dr. Dre did, like he would get money from.
Mm-hmm.
Smart guy. So maybe it's the same thing. Maybe Tavion's got a contract with Charlie Dempsey.
Yeah, I don't know. So we got Javon Evans, Tavion, and Ren Sinclair talking backstage, and Tavion's wondering why Dempsey won't give him a match. So Javon sees Jasper Troy walking, so he goes and talks to him. He's like, hey, congratulations on your match against Oba, even though you didn't win. It's a good match. And Troy says, get out of my face. So Javon walks back over to where the NQCC is at. Now Dempsey's with him. And so Dempsey says, all right, Tavion, if you want to leave NQCC, you can, but you got to beat Javon Evans in a match.
No. But Javon Evans isn't part of NQCC. It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
Because Charlie Dempsey couldn't beat Javon Evans.
No.
So, like, it's very convoluted here.
It is.
But I guess that's the point. It's like Charlie Dempsey's like, I've got this Easy E contract with Tavion, all of his money, all that Noah money he made. I get a huge chunk of that. So it's like, oh, you want out? Then you got to face somebody who's actually really good, Javon Evans.
Yeah, maybe. All right, we had more of the saga of the Tony D'Angelo family, or what's left of it.
This is the one thing in NXT that I just don't give a damn about.
I know.
I do not care about this shit at all.
It's too long.
So much of it is just like, you can do a little bit of the lack of communication thing. I accidentally almost hit you thing. A little bit. But everything is based off of that.
It's the entire thing. So we get this video package recapping the whole saga, and then Tony and Luca are backstage, but Luca's on the phone. He hangs up, and Tony's like, where have you been? You didn't tell me where you were. And Luca's like, before you can say a word, Tony says, see me in the ring. So we got a commercial break, come back, Tony's already in the ring. He talks about what's going on. Stacks stabbed him in the back. Rizzo's in hiding. I thought Luca got clipped. All I want from Luca is his trust and loyalty, and I'm not getting it. So Luca, get out here and let's talk man to man. So Luca comes to the ring, and of course he's like, what are you talking about, Tony? And Tony says, if you're going to lie, you're going to do it here in front of all these people. What happened in the desert? So Luca says, I met Stacks out there. 2 dudes grabbed me, put me in the trunk. We drove out in the desert. I was let go. Stacks took my phone and said, today is your lucky day. He said, I was out in the middle of nowhere, no people. Found my way back. So Tony's asking about what happened at Battleground, where Lucas showed up and just stood there. He says, can I trust you? Lucas says, yes. And Tony says, why didn't you help me then? And Lucas says, I didn't know what to do. I'm supposed to be the one to advise people, and this is the first time as a member of the family I had to make a decision on my own. He says, Rizzo's usually my soundboard. And Tony interrupts, says, people say the eyes never lie. So look me in the eyes and tell me, are you with Stacks? And Lucas says, I promised you. Before he could finish, Stacks interrupts. He talks a bunch of crap and more or less says, where is the line here? There's a reason I saved you in the desert, Luca. And at this point, Stacks and his security detail get on the apron. So Stacks, you were never good enough to be Tony's consigliere. You know what to do next. So then Luca goes and punches Stacks, or security. Stacks goes after Tony, and he tries to save Tony from Stacks, but instead he ends up punching Tony.
Yeah.
So then later on, we're in Ava's office. Stevie Turner Stone's in there. They're interrupted by Tony and Luca arguing right outside the door. So Ava's like, come in here. And Tony says, I got to get a match, Luca match against Stacks. And then Ava says, you can't because I already got Stacks in a match next week against Noam Dar. Stacks says, I already beat a former Heritage Cup champion.
Yeah.
Talking about Tony. And he says, Ava says, and his consigliere signed off on it or something like that.
Yeah, and Tony's like, what? And then Luca's like, looking like, I didn't do that. I don't know. So, yeah, I don't know. The entire thing is like, if they just stop and talk. Which, like, that's like one of my pet peeves in any media, like movies, TVs, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, if you just stop and talk for a second, and too much fiction relies on that.
Yep.
Let's see here. We also had Chase U classes in session. So Andre's holding the lecture, introduces Kale and Uriah to the class. He's like, it's summertime, but Chase U has a strict curriculum. Kale keeps on interrupting. He's like, he's got a question of some sort. And Chase keeps on telling him, shut up. You know, Chase U needs to be your priority. This is a teachable moment. You have to adjust to Chase U. You have to get fucking tough. And then Kale and Uriah just get their stuff and walk out. So I don't know if they were looking at the curriculum and like, we didn't come here to learn like math and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
So I don't know. It was an awkward segment that I don't think was like got the point across because I don't even know what the point was supposed to be.
No, I don't know what the point was either. I mean, I guess the point was that Kale and Uriah don't want structure, which is what Andre Chase was like preaching last week. Like, if you're going to do this, we're going to do this my way.
Yeah, right.
I think the idea is that Kale and Uriah are into the the vibes of Chase U.
Yeah.
But don't want to put the work in.
Sounds like some Undertaker would say backstage in NXT. All right, here's the deal. This match is going to be all vibes. What does that even mean? I don't know. I'm like 1,000,000 years old. Y'all are in your 20s.
Tell me what it means.
You tell me what it means. Undertaker U is in session.
All right, let's answer some questions. Why don't we?
All right, let's answer some questions.
Luis asks, why does the Hurt Syndicate need MJF?
Oh, he's very resourceful. He's resourceful. You know, he's a former world champion.
And I think they're doing a solid for MVP.
And Lashley likes him.
Yeah.
Ski Walker says, I'm sure both of you have heard about the 4 Beatles biopics coming out back to back. My question is, what wrestling faction biopics would y'all do in a similar fashion?
The 4 Horsemen when Sid was in it, so that we can have a cameo from RoboCop.
Oh, that's good. I like that. That's really good. That's good. I would go with how about this? These are the biopics. Because
Sure.
I think they'd be interesting. Vince McMahon Sr., Bruno Sammartino, Iron Sheik,
Bob
and
Backlund.
and Bob Backlund. Yeah. Everybody from all those dudes back right before Vince Jr. took over. You do those guys. I think that'd be kind of interesting.
That could be. Alex Foster here asked, if you guys were wrestlers, what would it take for you to give up a title shot to each other like Inamura did?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. It's, hey, if I knew it was something you really wanted, what do I care? You take it. It's TNA title. What do I care? It'd be a title that I had no interest in.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see here. No, I'm not going to do that. No.
The Moxley asks, what match hooked you on wrestling?
Oh, it wasn't any one match. It was just WC. It was the NWO. I was like, this is cool. These guys seem neat.
I don't know if this match ever happened, but first match I remember watching. Killer Bees versus British Bulldogs.
Yeah. That had to have happened.
You
You
think
didn't
so?
even find that one in Cage Match?
I didn't really look that hard. Jen P asks, is there a song, entrance, or otherwise that anytime you hear it, it takes you back to an amazing wrestling-related memory?
Oh, wow. What a great question.
Song, entrance, or otherwise. I'll say this. Perhaps the greatest thing I ever witnessed at a live wrestling show was Seth cashing in at Mania 31. So whenever I hear his original theme, double kick drums,
That's a good
that's
one.
the first thing I think of.
That's a good one, yeah. We already talked about this. Lord Blake Whitehouse, how different do you think NXT and WWE would have been if James Storm signed with NXT after his 2 matches 10 years ago?
I don't know if it would change much at all.
He'd dethrone Roman. It'd be him instead of Cody at WrestleMania 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the help of Bobby Roode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Square root of -1 says, given the move towards more cinematic style, would you like to see a new Lucha Underground? If so, who would you like to see there?
If they produced it in the same way, yeah, I think Lucha Underground, dude, I've seen maybe 2 episodes. But I really like what I saw, and I'd love to go back and watch the rest of them. So yeah, if they restarted it, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd be cool with that.
J Fode Cap FK says, I've been into crime movies lately. I watched Lord of War last night. Now I'm about to watch American Gangster after I reply here. Do you have any good crime thriller recommendations to share?
Heat. I know
King
you're
of
not
New
huge on
York.
that. Thief.
Fucking
James
love
Caan.
that movie. So King of New York. Yeah, Thief is really good. Thief is a really cool flick. I just saw that recently. King of New York and Deep Cover.
Yeah.
Those are probably my two favorite crime thrillers. But yeah, Thief is a really fucking cool movie.
Let me think. What else?
I've never seen New Jack City.
Oh, really? That's a good one.
I've been meaning to check that out.
Yeah, New Jack City's good. Those are all good movies.
That's all I've got over here.
Combat Ben asks, what was your favorite non-wrestling video game growing up?
What now?
Favorite non-wrestling video game growing up.
Favorite non-wrestling video game growing up. So there was like a big period of time when I sort of stopped video games. So like when I was a kid, we had a Commodore 64. So a lot of that shit like Pitfall, Winter and Summer Games, the Battle Zone, that kind of stuff. And then when I got my first a Nintendo, it was Blades of Steel. I was a big fan of that. But then I sort of stopped until like I got a Super Nintendo, but I never cared for any of the games on it. Like I just wasn't into video games all that much. And then then the N64 is when I started liking video games again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
For me, it was Tetris.
Mm-hmm. Tetris on the Game Boy. I had that. It was awesome.
And then NHL 95 on the Sega Genesis.
Yeah. I
would literally spend whole days or 2 days straight playing a season.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That game was so much fun.
Contra. I was huge into Contra.
Mm-hmm.
Super Contra, I think, was the one that like I got for this Super Nintendo. And I think it was on the Super Nintendo. And I was like, God damn, this is cool.
Timor here says, with the upcoming release of Superman, what are your thoughts on the Christopher Reeve Superman films? First two are really good.
Yeah, first two are really good. I mean, there are things about the third and fourth one that are like ironically pretty funny or unintentionally hilarious. But it's crazy that like, I don't know. Hey, let's just throw Richard Pryor in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So if you the stories behind the makings of all those movies is actually much more interesting than the last two movies. But the first two are great. I watched a whole breakdown really the other day on YouTube of the differences between the Donner version of Superman 2 and the Lester version. And it was just really interesting to see how they both approached it. And like in the end, you know, the guy doing commentary was like, he was like, you know what, in the end, the Lester version does kind of make more sense the way it's constructed. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.